So let's try to understand primitive data types in Java. So in the human world, we also have data types. We have numbers, we have characters, we have words, phrases, we have currency. Right? So those are different data types. So that's why we need to give the type. When we write a program, we need to know that what type of data that being input. So we need to know the type of data. Is it a number that we're reading in? Is it a string that we're reading in? String is just like word or phrases or sentences. We call string. Now numbers in math, we break into integers. Right? So we call int. So we just use math, right? Number, like int. And number itself, we talk about size of introduction. In introduction, we talk about bits and bytes. If I have 1 bit, I can represent 2 values. So integer has 32 bits. So 2 to the 32 is can represent to the 32, 4,294 million. Which what I try to do is we have positive number and negative numbers. For example, let's go with 8 bits first. If I have byte, if I make byte as 8 bit, right? Let me explain from 8 bit, it's easier to understand. 2 to the 8, we know it's 256. So what happened to that? We want to represent numbers, positive numbers and negative numbers. And also 0, right? Then we have to divide by 2. Half of this is going to be negative, which is minus 122 minus 1. And half of this is going to be positive, which is 0 to 127, including 0. So that's why I never go to 128, right? That's why if I use byte as a data type, I can only represent minus 128 to 127. That makes sense, right? Because there's limit in the size. Because this is dealing with computer, they only have bits, right? If I have to use short, I can represent 2 to 16. Let's do 2 to 16 again. 1 second before we move on. Let's look at 127. Technically, 128 is what? 2 to the 7, right? So that's why if I have 32 bits, I can represent negative 2 to the 31. 2 to the 31 minus 1. Because just like 2 to the 8 minus 1, I get 127. Because we have like about 2,000 millions, right? Negative and 2,000 million positive, right? Which is 2 billion, right? We can represent numbers. Negative 2 billions to positive 2 billion. Same with 16, right? Right. So it's 2 to the 16 divided by 2, right? 32,768, and same positive is 32,767 because we have 0, right? So these are the numbers. You can do byte as a type. Byte is 8 bits, we already know that. We can do short. We can do int. We can do long. Long is 64 bits. We can have 263, 2 minus 1, 2 minus 263. That's a range that we can represent, which is a lot of number right there. So these are whole numbers or integers, right? How about decimals? Then we have to deal with float, which is 32 bits. Now, how we representing it? you have to take another class, CSC200. We talk about ITB 754, or you can just research further. Okay, we're going to talk about how decimal numbers being represented in the machine, which is beyond the scope of this class. But we know that what we want to deal with doubles, we can use float. If it's small, that means you can represent like the decimal places range smaller than you use double. Double, you can have bigger range of decimal places. Okay, because this is 64 bits. So float and double is for the decimal points, number with decimal points, decimal numbers. And then we have type for Boolean. Boolean either or 1 or true or false. This is just 1 bit. And then we have type for char. Char is the character itself. We already learned that in introduction 1.1. We use 16-bit Unicode. Right, ASCII is 8-bit and Unicode is 16 for the national language representation. We learned that in introduction 1.1. So the character itself, A, B, C, D, E, or any alphabets for like Arabics or any other world language. So those are primitive data types. When you declare it, the defaults are this: byte, give zeros. Long is 0 with L. You see something like this on your test, okay? Long L. Floating 0.0 F. Double 0.0 D. Char, pretty much just the Unicode. This is the hexadecimal numbers, right? 4 nibbles give you 16 bits. String. Now, string is a stream of characters, and you may notice that string is uppercase. String is a stream of characters. If you declare it by default, it's going to be null. You'll learn string later. This is a class, like public class hello world. String is a class. You learn more, but now we can just use it as a data type here. It is not primitive data types. You may see it's not listed here. Okay. Boolean by default is going to be false. So when you declare and use them in Java, this is how you declare it. Just like I told you in math, we said x equals to 5, b equals to 100, but you just need to give the type. Okay, byte, or s equals to 10,000, short as a type, int, I equals to 100,000, char, where a type. Now when you talk about the characters, you use the single quote to represent the characters. Boolean, true, right? So that's how you declare it inside the program. This is just comments showing you, and you can declare to use. Now we understand the data type. We are ready to continue our scanner program. So we know that this is, I just declare an instance named keyboard. Okay, it's from the scanner class. Whenever you declare, you just do it this way. Scanner keyboard equals new scanner. From the keyboard, we use system.in. Okay. Now, when we read something from the user input, we need to know what is the type. And I said this is hello by my name. So the type should be string. Then I'm going to declare a string to use. Whenever you declare things, we like to declare in the beginning, right? So string, I'm going to give it as name. Okay. Now, by default, it's going to be null, right? We already look at this. By default, it's null, right? So when I read in the name, I need to give name equals. I'm going to read it from the keyboard, right? And keyboard, we can do dot. And if I want to read in the string, there are two of them. One is next line or next. Same as print or print line. If you do next, the cursor is still at the end of the read. If you next line, the cursor is going to move to the next line. This time, if I want cursor to move to next line, then I can display something else afterward. Okay, if I put next, when I print out something, it's going to append to the first line that the user enter in. So I don't want that, so I do next line. So that's how you read in the input. So that's two statements here, right? String name, declare the variables to use. The second one, create the keyboard instance. We call instant, pretty much just instant of the scanner class. Well, that's it. This is just when you want to read in from keyboard, you just use scanner and follow this syntax. And just need to know the type. If I read string, I declare string to use. And then I assign the value that I read from the keyboard. Next line is string. Next int if it's integers. Next double if it's double. Now I'm reading string, I use next line and put the result back into the name. Alright, so I should be ready to say hello my name now. By just display, right? After I read input, comment display. Display, which is your output, right? Output to display. Which you already know, system.out.print. Hello. Now the difference that you're going to know now is how we're going to display exact name from the user input. Name is the variables that I store, the actual name that the user input from the keyboard. So it's no longer a part of the string. It should not be inside the quotation. It should be outside. And we use plus the name. Plus is just the operators, like to put the text next to the value of the variables. Because when you put name in here, it's going to be exactly hello name. It's not the actual values of the name, right? So let's run the program. Enter your name. Tennis. Hello tennis. So let's run it again. Thomas. Hello Thomas. So this is how we read input from the user keyboard, right? Again, we read the string, we declare string name, we create the keyboard instance with this statement, and we prompt the user with the text, enter your name. Once the user enter in, we read the input by using keyboard.next line and store that values from the user input to the name as my variables. And then I just display it out by using the plus. This is called concatenate, right? Operator. I'm concatenating it with the values from the variables. Then I can display hello with the user input name, which is now I put Thomas to say hello Thomas.